distinguished colleague, Adeola Solomon Olamilekan, representing Lagos West Senatorial District. I'm from the southwestern region of this country, and I'm a proud Yoruba man. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, let me join other colleagues in thanking God Almighty for the last 4 wonderful years we have been given the grace to spend together. Mr. President, yes, 109 of us was sworn in 4 years ago. But along the line, 3 of our colleagues have to leave us before the end of our tenure. And it's my prayer that God in His infinite mercy will grant their family the grace to bear this very important loss. Mr. President, we have spent the last 4 years together, and we are about to say goodbye. Today, the 6th day, the 6th day of June, I stand before this august gathering to address the 8th Senate for the last time. On Tuesday, the 11th day of June, by the special grace of God, I will have the opportunity again of standing before this hallowed chamber to address the 9th Senate. Mr. President, the question I ask myself, how have I seen the last 4 years? Yes, there are a lot of ups and downs. Number one, on the issue of the leadership crisis that took our attention away for more than 1.5 years, that get us distracted from our business, from our legislative business for close to 1.5 years. But along the line, we're able to see Nigeria to be bigger than any one of us. And along the line, we decided to bury all our sword and work for the interest of Nigeria. And the last 2.5 years thereabout has been very wonderful. Because, as my colleague have earlier mentioned, within the 2.5 years, we have succeeded, at least in passing, over 218 bills that was duly completed and forwarded to the executive for their assets. Yes, it is no longer news that about 40 or 40-something bills were returned by the executive where assets have been declined. Some others are still under consideration, and some are still with us that cannot be completed as a result of the expiration of the life of the Senate. Mr. President, let me commend your leadership and the leadership and other members of the leadership who have been able to give us at least opportunity to have our 8th Senate in place and work so hard to show to Nigerians that we are not here just for ourselves alone, but to represent their own interests. Along the line, Mr. President, 2 major landmark events that took place in this Senate, in this 8th Senate, which I will forever continue to remember. Number one was the time when this country went into economic recession. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, at least for the first time, we came out with a blueprint, making suggestions to the executive as to what we can do as a country to come out of this economic recession. And we did all we could through organizing a roundtable discussion, through looking at the existing bills, existing laws of the land, by amending those laws, and also doing a package that was forwarded to the executive as our own contribution in taking the country out of economic recession. Secondly, Mr. President, another landmark event that took place in this 8th Senate was the issue of when there were security challenges across the length and breadth of this country. A security summit was organized where all those that are involved in the security architecture of this country were invited to this security summit. We put together a report that shows that we as the Senate, we are alive and we are alert to our responsibility, and we forwarded this report to the executive as part of our own contribution in trying to put an end to the issue of insecurity in the country. Mr. President, let me say that I want to thank my colleague who served with me in the Committee on Local Content, being the pioneer committee in the Senate. And I want to say this, that Mr. President, it's an adventure. We try as much as possible to give this committee a name, to ensure that local content has come to stay and stay for good as far as our country is concerned. But I want to implore the incoming Senate to please, for once, look at the existing act of the Local Content Development Monitoring Board and look for a way to strengthen it so that this can cover other line sectors such as communication, manufacturing, ICT, and other solid minerals and all other line sectors, so that for once, Nigerians can be given the opportunity to take part in the business which is ordinarily should be their own. And what local content have succeeded in doing, especially the oil and gas sector, if extended to other line sector, it will go a long way to checkmate this issue of hiding under the disguise of investing in our nation's economy. Very distinguished colleague, Mr. President, I also want to implore the incoming Senate to do everything to ensure there is a good and harmonious working relationship between the executive and the legislature without necessarily eroding our independence. I want to say that the last 4 years have not been too rosy in terms of relationship between the legislature and the executive. And we believe that when these two arms of government could come together and work together, in terms of dividends of democracy and development that will come to this country, will be in no small measure add to the value of us as a people and as a nation by extension. Mr. President, let me also use this opportunity to congratulate all of us, the 109th Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the 8th Senate, and say, yes, it is time to say goodbye to some of us who we have been together for the last 4 years. But it doesn't mean the end of the war. It shows that there are something out there which are even more better than us being in this Senate. But because we have spent our time working assiduously hard to ensure that this country, this one country which we have, Nigeria, which is a work in progress, continue to work for all of us. We have no choice. We could not even see what is outside. We could not even get involved in some of the activities because we are bounded by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and all relevant laws which prevent us from doing any other business except this business of lawmaking. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, let me say this, that for those of us who are returning in the 9th Senate, this is another challenge before us, to contribute our own quota towards the nation building and the nation development. And it is my prayer that by the special grace of God, that we have a seamless leadership on Tuesday, by the special grace of God, when we have a new Senate President and new Deputy Senate President, to channel the affairs of this Senate for another 4 years. And I hope and I pray that by the special grace of God, we will be able to join hands with the executive to take Nigeria to the next level. And for all of us, I wish you well, and I pray for God's guidance and protection in our future endeavor. Thank you, and God bless you.
Senator Clifford Odia.
Mr. President, my very distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Clifford Odia, representing Edo Central Senatorial District. Today, Mr. President, I want to thank God Almighty and the entire people of Edo Central Senatorial District for the opportunity extended to me to represent them at the Senate, and also for the